Mr. Levy, thank you so much for your time. It's been a week since Donald Trump's landslide victory. What do you think about that? Did you see Trump winning?
I saw. I was in Stanford the electoral day. The day of election, I was at Stanford with a big group of students, and we had a TV party there on the campus with a big screen of television. Sometimes we muted it. Sometimes when there was a big news, we made it loud, and we understood rather soon that he was winning. The students were they were in disarray. It was mainly Jewish students, so they knew that the elected president will be very favorable to Israel, so they were happy in that sense. In the other sense, they knew that they would be protected, or they would be allied with someone with whom they share nearly nothing, so little in common, you know. And for me, it's the same. It's very strange to feel supported by someone who is not of yours at all, not in your family of ideas, and those who belong to your family of ideas be harassed, attacked by them, the progressists. Me, I'm a liberal. These students in Stanford, they are liberals. They know that most of the liberals today speak to them, a lot of them, not most, a lot of them, and that they are endorsed by conservative. It's a very disturbing situation.
It's very disturbing. Mr. Levy, do you think that the Biden administration, aka liberals, Democrats, do you think they let Israel down? If you look back at this 1 year, just because you were talking about Trump and how unexpected it is, theoretically, to expect this sort of support from someone who maybe you don't have any shared interest or shared ideas. We are talking about that. So if we look at Biden administration, they represent Democratic Party liberalism. Do you think they let Israel down?
They did not let Israel down, for sure not. They continued to express ironclad support. There was no stop in weapons delivery and so on. But they made the life of Israel difficult. And something happened which is very rare in an alliance, which is a half-heart support for the ally. You know, of course they did support, but with so bad grace. You know, with so regret. The Americans at every step of that war said, you have to stop, don't do that, don't do this, don't enter in Rafah, stop escalation, please compromise with Hamas, compromise with Hamas.
And they never asked Israel to win.
And they never, and then not only they never asked Israel to win, but they seemed to be, they tried to force Israel not to win, which is to compromise. If Israel had compromised with Hezbollah or with Hamas, what would it mean? Compromise means victory for Hamas and Hezbollah. Yeah. The smallest compromise means a huge victory for the bad guys. So and it was what the Americans demanded to Israel. Please stop, make an agreement. And position of Israel was always yes. Agreement for a limited time to get the hostage back, okay. But an agreement in order to allow, in the best case, Hamas to rearm and regroup, and in the worst case, Hamas to claim victory and to become a hero in all Palestine, in all the area, in Lebanon, in Iran, and so on. No, that's position of Israel, and Israel was right.
Okay, Mr. Levy, let's go back to Trump. Do you think that he is going to encourage Israel or Netanyahu to win this war? Exactly what was missing in Biden administration, the rhetoric of winning. Not only, you know, you have the right to do self-defense. But the winning argument, do you think Trump is going to encourage them?
I'm inclined to say yes. I suppose it is the most possible hypothesis. This being said, never forget that the creed of Trump, his ideology, his creed, is deals. Deal, make a deal. Mm-hmm. The Art of a Deal was the title of his book. So you never know. You never know if at a point he will not have the temptation to make a deal with Iran, with the regime. Mm-hmm. You don't know. He's so much lover of deals. He's so much thinks that the best way to deal with grand history, to make deals, that we can have big surprise. And Israel can have big surprise. And you, representative of the civilian society in Iran, can have big surprise. We don't know.
So you think that maybe Trump is gonna make a deal with Islamic? Don't you think it's too late for that? Let's say Obama's era, that was the time that we could talk about deals and negotiations. Now, this is post-October 7th. The world is completely different. Middle East is completely different.
I think it's too late, for absolutely, definitely, for two reasons. Number one, post-October 7th. And number two, Iran, according to State Secretary Blinken himself on July 16, he made a statement saying that the regime in Iran was a few weeks from getting really all the devices to make the bomb. So it's very late. I don't know what deal could be done in that at that step of the chronology. So that's why I think already the Obama deal was not a good deal, but this one can be much worse if there was a deal. I have no indication, no information, no suspicion, don't know. But I know a little, I observed the elected president as you, and we cannot exclude the hypothesis of a deal that would be for sure a very, very bad deal.
Mr. Levy, let's look for signs. For instance, let's look the picks that Donald Trump did during these few past days, which, if we observe that, it can be a contra-argument of what you're saying about deal. He's picking people who are very pro-Israel. I cannot say Zionist, but they are very pro-Israel, and they have a very harsh rhetoric against Islamic Republic of Iran. If you, like for instance, Mike Waltz, that I know that you are happy that Trump picked him, just looking at these people and their history of not liking Islamic Republic, of not being happy with the existence of Islamic Republic, doesn't that say that maybe this time it's going to be different? It's very difficult to say what Trump is going to do, but looking at these people that he's picking, what does it indicate?
I did not tell you that the deal was the most probable hypothesis. No, I don't think so. I told you that there is still this possible idea around. Now, take the example of Michael Valls, National Security Advisor. He's a tough conservative about Afghanistan. He's one of those who believe that America had made a huge mistake, Trump and Biden, by negotiating with the Taliban and leaving Afghanistan at the moment where the war was being won. Women in Kabul were free, press was blooming, and so on. I was in Afghanistan myself a few months before the American left Afghanistan in this shameful departure. So Mike Waltz is very tough on Afghanistan. He's very tough on the Kurds of Iraq, Syria, and Iran. He believes that they are natural allies of the West and that we have a moral, political, and security obligation to support them. That's what Waltz thinks. If he wins, the contrary. It's opposite of what Trump did first time. Trump let them go, drop them flat, abandon them. Biden same, both of them. Common program between the two. Nothing for the Kurds. Okay, Ukraine is less clear, but Michael Waltz went many times in Ukraine. He visited Kyiv, other places, and again, he's a veteran. He's a great soldier. He knows what he's speaking about. You know, he's not one of these. He's not a builder, an entrepreneur of buildings in New York. You know, he was on the battlefield. He's a hero, a true hero. So for Ukraine, I don't think that he might plead to give Ukraine or part of Ukraine to Moscow. And for Iran, I know Mike Waltz, and I know that his personal position is nothing to the Ayatollah, everything to the women dignity liberty movement and the ladies in Iran, which are the salt of the earth.
So isn't that a sign for you?
Of course it's a sign. I want, you know, we are such in a disarray, all of us, that every sign of hope, I take it, it's hope. After that we have known, I don't want to speculate, but you can also have the hypothesis of someone picked in an administration in order to have like an alibi or an hostage. We never know. But Michael Waltz is a good sign.
Mr. Levy, given what is happening in Middle East now, Hezbollah is very weak, Hamas is very weak. We can argue if they are destroyed or they are weakened. And also if we look at Iran, women's life freedom is still alive. And Khamenei is getting very old. It's probable that he's gonna die sometime soon. And Trump is in power here. If you look at all of these factors together, what do you see? What is gonna happen specifically in Middle East?
My dream is a Middle East completely remolded, with a great alliance between Iran, Israel, and Saudi Arabia. This is the natural move of history. And if this is done, the area becomes an incredible area of prosperity, of culture, of civilization. You will have in the area 15 Nobel Prize before the end of this century. This would be a dream, and it is possible because there are so many bridges already between the three people. Even if it is maybe more difficult between Saudi Arabia and Iran, but even that can be overcome.
Mm-hmm. You described Iran as one of those 5 kings. It doesn't fit in a category with Saudi Arabia and Israel. And that Iran that you describe as a king is the Islamic Republic Iran, is the Iran led by Khamenei. Do you...
And I say that, I always say that democratic values, for me, are not reserved to a part of the world. And for me, the West, there is a global West, if you want to call it West. If you want to call it, there is a global West, which goes till Taiwan, which goes, of course, till Iran, who goes till Israel, who goes till the human rights defenders in Turkey who fight against Erdogan. You know, the West is a category of the spirit, and Iran, the civil society of Iran, is one of the core parts of this world.
Mr. Levy, let's go back again to Trump. Now that he is elected and we have Netanyahu in Israel, do you think Trump and Netanyahu are allies, or they can form a coalition against this radical evil that you were talking about in your book? Hamas, Hezbollah, and we know all of these are groups, militia supported by Islamic Republic. Do you think Trump and Netanyahu are just simply allies, or no, we are moving towards something like a coalition between US and Israel to take down Islamic Republic of Iran and all the militias that it supports?
Again, we'll see. President Trump is not yet in office. It's just the beginning, but I can expect, yes, if Netanyahu is still in power on January 25, which is not completely sure. You have also some questions in Israel. Situation is moving there too. Will Netanyahu be there when Trump enters in office? It's not sure. But if it happens, yes, you may have a coalition helping not only to defeat Hezbollah and Hamas, but to liberate Iran. Because this, at the end of the day, the real stake, the real aim, the real target is the liberation of Iran. When Iran is free, it is like when Germany was free in 1945. It was a moment of deliverance, a moment of liberation, you know. And you are much more in Iran. There is a great difference between Iran today and Germany in 1945. In 1945, nobody dared to walk in the streets dressed in a way which was not convenient. Nobody dared to protest against the Nazi regime. And the observers could believe that 99% of the German population, till the last minute, was pro-Nazi. In Iran, no. In Iran, we know that a huge part of the population, at least in the cities, is against the regime. This part of the population is already in the streets, is already defying at very high cost, you know it, more than ever, more than anyone, you know the cost. But in the fact, so in the way to democracy, Iran is much more advanced than the fatherland of Beethoven and of Hegel in 1945. It was really, the victory of democracy was nearly impossible to expect by an observer in 1944. Read the press of that time. Mm-hmm. People thought that Germany was lost, that it was lost for a long time, exactly as Poland or Czech Republic in 1988. Nobody could expect that democracy blooms all of a sudden. I was surrounded this, I remember, I was 30 years old, for the Eastern Europe under the communist boot. Nobody could believe that it will liberate it so soon. Iran is the contrary. Nobody can doubt that the boiling forces of dignity, of spirit, of youth, of civilization are there, and that they are already prevailing. So, most of the road, you already did it under the veil, alas, sometime, under the boot, under the roof of the jails, under the roof of the rooms of torture, but you made with an incredible bravery. You did what the Eastern Europe people did not do against the communism, and what was not done against Nazism. So you gained some time. When the Ayatollah fall, it will go so.
So, Mr. Lévy, I don't want to exaggerate in the powers that IRGC, Khamenei, or Islamic Republic have, but talking about people and all these civil movements, do you think it's possible that these people, these movements, these civil movements, empty-handed, they can confront a government that is like a godfather of this radical evil, godfather of whatever evil is happening in Middle East? They have money from the oil they can sell, despite the sanctions, U.S. sanctions. They have equipments, military, they are giving it to Houthis, they are giving it to Hezbollah. Everything that is happening in Middle East somehow is coming from the Islamic Republic's money and, you know, weaponry. And then we are talking about Iranian people. They are empty-handed. How this battle is gonna evolve?
The Ayatollah, they are apparently strong, in reality weak. That's my deep, in spite of the oil, in spite of the money, in spite of the alliance with Putin, I think they are weak. And they are weak, why? Because they miss the real source of strength. The real source of strength, it is the spirit. It is the dignity. It is the culture. The culture. The regime of Iran is a zombie regime. A zombie. They don't believe in anything. They are not faithful to anything. They don't know about the Iranian or Persian tradition. They know nothing. They they impose a rigorist Islam, completely stupid, which has also nothing to do with real Islam. As you know, there is no surah of the Quran requiring that a woman is enjailed on a piece of tissue. So, a zombie regime, as it is, can have the appearance of strength. If you knock, it is empty. Yeah. Behind. Dong, 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 toc, 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 toc. It sounds creux. It sounds empty.
Empty, raw. Does it remind you of Soviet Union?
It reminds me of Soviet Union. It reminds me of Turkey today. Turkey is same. Erdogan cartoons, he imitates and cartoons the old tradition of the old ideology of the 1 century ago, but he does not even know them. He just takes kitsch images to build his palace, to put on his flags and so on, but it is not a fleshy culture. It is not an incarnated culture. It is a dishabited culture. And when you use as a weapon a culture which is dishabited, uninhabited, it is like if you had a sword of paper, you know. Yeah. And this is the case for Turkey today, for Russia probably, maybe for China. And certainly for Iran.
Mr. Lévy, let's now look at this entire event happening, let's say in US, by picking Trump. People elected Trump in a big number. It was a landslide victory. And if you look at Europe, Meloni in Italy, we have Geert Wilders in Netherlands, and it didn't happen in France. Macron didn't let that happen. Do you see a rise of right? And do you see a paradigm shift? Can you explain that?
The air, when I was a young man, we said le fond de l'air est rouge. The air is red. It was the time of the communist revolutions and so on. Today, le fond de l'air is brown. Is more right-wing, sometimes close to fascism, than the opposite. That's true. It's true everywhere in Europe, everywhere in the world, in fact. And we are facing probably the third crisis of liberal values and of democratic values since 1 century. We had one at the end of the 19th century, which gave the First World War. We had one in the 30s of the 20th century, at the moment of the rise of Nazism. And we are probably living a crisis number 3, the third one, of values of democracy and of liberalism. And this takes shape, on one side it is Erdogan or IRGC, on the other side it is Meloni and Trump. So it's the general mood of the period. And you have Democrats who fight and who think that the cause of liberté still deserves to be defended and won. So we'll see. We never know what is the... When a political battle, ideological battle is engaged, and when it is merciless, as it is now, nobody can predict the issue.
Thank you so much, Mr. Lévy. Thank you.